have the area that is rather large. We have a population of 4.85 million. And for the economic revenue, we focus on oil, agriculture, as well as tourism. And for Oman, it is in a good position. In history, Oman has become an important port for the navigator and sea boys. And in Tang Dynasty, about 1300 years ago, Oman has been called and has been famous for a business person who has went to Guangdong province of China, and that is the recorded earliest president of China-Oman exchange. And this business person was also the original figure for some famous tales and stories. And for Zhenghe, when he was exploring this African region, he has arrived in Oman for 3 times. So the history of Oman witnessed the exchange between various nations and countries. And China has played an important role in this kind of cross-cultural exchanges. And in this museum, we can see the relics of history between the exchange of China and Oman. In addition to China's relics in this museum, we can also see various kinds of relics. The earliest ones can be traced to more than 2 million years ago. With the Belt and Road Initiative expanding, China and Oman have, for once more, cooperated much more closely. And we have converged on this maritime Silk Road, and this kind of new page and new chapter will be splendid. And now we will follow Ms. Iman to visit this museum and to see the relics related to China. And we want to have a feeling for the previous history where Oman and China as 2 civilizations converge and meet with each other. And if we go directly forward, we can see the major hall here. And for this hall, it is the traditional clothes of Oman. For Oman, we have different kind of clothes for different regions. And you can see these clothes. It is like we have a typical African style. We have this scarf. And women preferred to wear this kind of clothes of various kind of colors. We have yellow and pink. And these women preferred to wear a lot of accessories. And here we can see these kind of accessories. And here we can also see this is a special cloth. And this kind of special feature is very unique. Sometimes nowadays people, when they get married, they will wear these clothes. And over there we can see this knife and sword for the male figure. So different localities have different style of these knives. And previously, this was used for real fighting, but now these knives are used for celebration purposes during marriage or other happiness occasions. And for traditionally, these knives were a representation of people's force and strength. But nowadays, these knives become decorations for happy occasions. And now you can see these clothes. It is very unique because we have these thick clothes. Although the weather is warm, but up the hill we see the temperature is rather low, so we will need these thick clothes. This is the traditional costume of northern Oman, where people would wear in the mountainous areas. And over here, you can also see this special costume and these accessories. People would wear this kind of accessories and costumes in the desert, because on the desert, people would need to wear all the accessories and jewelries. Wouldn't that be weighty? It is a little bit heavier, but women prefer to wear all this because it looked beautiful. And here we have this special knife. And this was very unique in a specific locality. And if you look at this costume, it is what man would wear in the desert. You can see the color looks alike in the desert. For Arabic and Middle Eastern countries, people would wear white clothes, but in desert, people would change the color. Instead of white, we would have different colors. And here, in the southern part of Oman, people would wear special clothes. The front part is shorter than the back part, and for this clothes, we have various colors. So for the southern part of Oman, people's clothes have different colors. And you can also see these kind of jewelries. And people would wear these jewelries when they went out. We will continue to visit the museum and see other relics. So this was for the marriage occasion. So all the things could be put into this box. So this box is used to carry the good things that a woman will bring to their husband's house. So there is also a lock, and the key is to be held by the woman herself. And previously, people did not have refrigerators, and the weather was hot, so people would put water in these bottles so that the water would become icy and colder. So this is what is used in desert. And it is made from the camel skin. And these things are used in the kitchen, yes. So for each household, maybe we have a lot of people, and we will need a lot of different things to cook. And up there you can see this kind of big pot and big pan, all the people will sit together to eat, so you can see how big the pan is. So if you visit my house, I would provide you with coffee in Oman. We will usually drink coffee. I know that in China, people would offer tea to treat the guests, but in Oman, we have coffee. And you can see all the kettles to hold the coffee. So what is this? So this is to take care of the baby. Previously, women needed to work while taking care of the babies, so the woman would use this to take care of the baby, to hold the baby on the back of the woman. So we have this kind of containers to hold and to take the incense. And in Oman, we have this different tradition in the northern part and southern part of using different incenses. And there is also a huge difference. People use different kinds during their marriage and other occasions. And for women would put this kind of container up their head. And here is for praying purposes. So it has been a long tradition, and it is also the same for nowadays. So we will put a Quran here. So we'll visit another exhibition hall. So we now see the traditional costumes and housewares of Oman. And Ms. Iman now will lead us to see the whole history of Oman as a nation. And she will also have a brief introduction for the history in various stages of the history. And here we come to this hall for the national history of Oman. We have different kind of models for different kind of buildings. So these are the models for this capital, Masjid of Oman, for different periods of time. Oman has 4 capitals in the history. And we can see this city is an important port, the previous capital of Oman, Zhenghe, and it has become a very important port in history. And during Tang Dynasty, Zhenghe has become a capital for a very important regional regime, and Sohar has also become an important hub for the transfer of goods, and Sohar has also become a very important pillar and cluster for the maritime Silk Road. So we'll then go on to the next exhibition. And for the second capital, Niswell, and for this city, it is very famous in Oman. And people would build the houseware and furniture in this city. And previously in Oman, and we will see the development of the Islamic belief. And this city was developed around the end stage of Tang Dynasty. And it is also a very important hub for manufacturing furnitures, and back then it was also a very important place for religion. And then we will go to the third capital, Ustad. And previously, we do not know when the capital moved to this city. And the third capital is Rusta. Around 15th century, the capital has moved to Ustad, the second capital of Oman. And this castle here is the second largest castle. And the castle, you can see, is very magnificent. And at last, we can see the fourth capital of Oman. And Muscat has become the capital of Oman. And we can see the current capital, Muscat. And from the 19th century, Muscat has become the capital of the nation, and it is also a very important port in ancient Oman. So now we have seen these four capitals, and we have a brief understanding for the capitals of Oman in various stages of history. So we can trace the history to 2,000 years before, and in history, Oman has a history of more than 2,000 years as a whole nation. Just like China, Oman is a country with a long history and a good and splendid civilization. And through the maritime Silk Road, the two civilizations, China and Oman, have met each other. And this has been a good thing for the history and for both countries. And now you can see we are entering into another exhibition hall. We are going to see different kinds of ships and vessels. Ms. Iwan now is leading us to see the traditional shipbuilding sector in Oman. Oman has become a cradle for the sea boys as well as for voyagers. And in ancient time, Oman has this kind of coastal cities which were famous for building vessels and ships. So you can see the very unique vessels and ships in Oman in ancient time. You know that for Oman people, we have this famous industry of building sailboats and vessels. And we have a very unique way of building this sailboat. We use this rope. You can see the rope here. And you can see here, the connection is achieved through tying the rope. We link the two boards instead of using nails. So this is the most unique feature for this sector of building vessels and sailboats in Oman. So you can also see these kind of materials we use to build the boat. You can see here this cloth we use to build the boat. And you can also see this is the rope used to connect the two boards for the vessels. So you can have a feeling for this rope. So to tie this rope, we connect the two wooden boards to make the boat. And just now she has mentioned that we have an illustration about how boats were built in the previous days. We have a special boat on exhibition here. So this is very special. You can see these ropes. You can also see we rarely use nails. We prefer to use ropes. So you can see this comparison. So for Oman people, it is very rare for them to use nails. So it is actually a model for us to see how boats were built. So we have different kind of ropes, and we tie the ropes to connect different wooden boards. So here we see the exhibition of weapons. We have knives, swords, and other weapons. So why we will visit such an exhibition of weapons instead of watching and seeing the flags or other relics? So you can also see that the national emblem, the shape of national emblem of Oman. So these two swords and knives are the most representative symbol of Oman. So the most symbolic handicrafts of Oman has become the elements of the national flag and national emblem. So we can see actually the origin for the national flag and emblem while we are seeing these weapons. So So passing through the exhibition for different weapons, we will come upstairs. So we are taking the lift to come to the second floor of this museum. And Miss Ivan has just talked with me, and we are getting on the lift. And Miss Iman has studied for 7 years in China to study Chinese. After he has come back to Oman, the first few days she has been working for a company. She has no opportunity to use Chinese, but she could not speak so well the Chinese. But now she is working for this national museum, and she wants to contribute to this kind of bilateral relationship through her own effort. And now we are coming to the second floor of this museum. And on the second story, you can see various kinds of Chinese elements. For the past 1300 years, the China-Oman exchanges have been a huge impact and huge fact in this kind of museum exhibition. And now we can see we are entering into another exhibition hall. And you can see the flags here and the chair. So these are the national flag and national emblem, the very original flag and emblem. We have also the demonstration of the national anthem. You can see this chair. So this chair is for the king. And on the right, we have the national flag. You can see these three colors. Red means that previously in Oman we had a lot of wars. And in Oman, we have the date palm. It is also a factor in the national flag. And this is also for the national emblem. We have 2 swords and 1 knife. It is similar to what we have seen downstairs, and you can have a try for the national anthem. She has mentioned that for red, green, and white 3 colors represent the previous wars. And the green color means the future peace. So we have a very deep meaning for this national flag. And now we are trying to hear the national anthem. So we can hear the national anthem, the modern anthem. And for this picture, it is a king for Oman when he was young and wearing the military uniform. And in Oman, the soldiers and military people are considered to be the ones with the most favored career. And you can also think that the anthem has a lot of beautiful rhythm. And it is also like what we can hear in military. And after hearing this national anthem, we can see all these kind of relics and symbols. We can see the history of the exchange between Oman and other neighboring countries. And if you follow us, we can go forward and see this kind of very beautiful Chinaware. And you can also see that for this kind of Chinaware and porcelain, they come from China. And the earliest one was around 750 and 780 AD, and it is during the Tang Dynasty. And there was an Oman business person who was recorded to be the first one to have arrived in China. And back then, this person was also the first one to have arrived in Guangzhou in the whole Arab world. And for this person, he has been taking a traditional wooden boat to have arrived in China. And the person was born in a northern village of Oman. And he and his assistant has been riding on this wooden boat to go to Southern Asia, and then they arrived in Guangzhou. And he has brought about several goods to China. And it is very difficult to find out what exactly he did brought. But we can also guess that he has brought about very precious spice and perfumes. And you can also see this kind of Chinaware. Maybe it was brought back by this Oman business person back then. And in the Beijing National Museum, we have also an exhibition about the Silk Road. And the delegates from Oman National Museum have brought the precious relics to Beijing for the exhibition. So if you are interested, you can actually go to the Beijing National Museum. You can have a taste for the Chinese Chinaware in ancient times, which is now kept in Oman. And later on, you can see these kind of relics dating back to the Song Dynasty. And then we can see this kind of Chinaware with a Chinese character Xi, which means happiness. And this can date back to Song Dynasty. And then we can come nearer to the modern age, we date back to the Yuan Dynasty. And then we go to the Qing Dynasty, and this kind of Chinaware, we have the character which means luck, or in Chinese we say fu. And at last, we can see these relics from Qing Dynasty, which is well maintained. Because we know that for the maritime Silk Road, it is very important for the exchange between China and Oman. We know that it started from Soha and then went back to Guangzhou. So for this very original business person from Oman, he has then visited Guangzhou. And many Oman people now go to China for business or for study. And what I want to say is that we have a very close relationship and interdependence between China and Oman. According to our study and discovery, we say that in Oman history, we have a very close relationship with China and very close exchange. You can now also see we are entering and trying to go to another exhibitions. You can also see this very beautiful handicraft. I'm sorry the signal is bad, but from what we can see this kind of handicraft in the shape of a building or a castle. So this is a very precious porcelain that we can see in a religious scene. So this is very important to show the cultural influence of China. And we can see also the beauty of China's traditional chinaware and porcelain. Now we are seeing a special gift from Emperor Guangxu in Tang Dynasty.
1903年左右是抵达的阿曼，给当时的苏丹的赛义德呢是作为这个礼物。至于当时阿曼的国王赛义德先生他吃了还是没有吃这个坛子里头这些酱料尝没尝是中国的味道，我们现在呢已经呢无从得知。但是呢，据这个博物馆的介绍，这个坛子呢在这个里头的酱料呢在用完之后呢是把这个整个坛子是放到了这个阿曼的这个老皇宫中，作为呢非常重要的一个装饰器物放在皇宫当中。而同时呢，说是这些阿曼的这个皇宫中的这些公主啊、王子呀，他们这些人呢，从小呢是非常的喜欢的钻到这个坛子里进行捉迷藏。好，这个呢就是呢在100多年前，这个中国的光绪皇帝同这个阿曼国苏丹，也就是阿曼国王的这个一段的历史的佳话。
This has been a very favorite story and anecdote in history. So if we go forward, we can see that just now, Ms. Musa has known that we are on a live broadcast, and she has come here because she has a deep understanding for China's historical relics, and he has a degree in this respect. So So we talk about the very early stage exchange between China and Oman. It is between Sohang and Guangzhou. Sohang has once been the capital of Oman, and it was also a very important port in the Middle Eastern area. So a lot of exchanges concerning China and the maritime Silk Road, the relics were discovered in Sohang, this place.
علاقتنا بدأت في فترة تانغ هي سلالة التانغ هي أول الدلائل للعلاقات العمانية مع الصين.
So here we can see the very early stage, very early exhibition. We can see these China pieces. We can guess that these pieces were produced during the Tang Dynasty. So at a very early stage, we can trace this history back to the Tang Dynasty. So we can also see that the exchange between China and Oman has been witnessed by these pieces of China. So the exhibition is in the time sequence. First, we have the Chinaware in Tang Dynasty around 700 AD, and then we have the exhibition for Song Dynasty. And this is for Tang Dynasty, and later we have Song Dynasty. And if we go on, we can see that the various dynasties in China, the Song Dynasty here, and later on we have Yuan Dynasty and Ming Dynasty. So as we go along these exhibitions, we can come nearer to the modern age. At the end, we have the Qing Dynasty.
فهذه مجموعة معروضة هنا كانت تستخدم في المنازل وأيضا كانت توضع لأن هي ثمينة كانت توضع أيضا في منازل البيوت لأن هي ضمن الإهداءات الزواج.
So we can see these very precious gifts with very beautiful uses. When people marry, they will use this as gifts.
السفينة أصلا كانت لجنغي أو حاج جنغها حاج محمود شمس الدين اللي هو الأدميرال الصيني.
这艘呢船的模型呢是这个文物工作者根据这个当时的史料记载复原出来的一艘呢郑和下西洋使到过阿曼的这样的一艘呢。
Based on the historical documents, it is a replication for the boat which was used by Zhenghe during his exploration of Oman. Zhenghe has become a very important explorer and sailor in ancient China.
说他跟我们说呢，说在郑和的船队呢，当时呢是在公元13世纪的时候，也是在。
The fleet of Zhenghe has visited Oman around 13th century and during the Ming Dynasty. And Zhenghe's fleet has arrived on the coast of Oman for 3 times, arrived in different cities. And back then, Zhenghe's fleet has arrived in a very crowded port, and this port has been listed as a cultural relic by the UNESCO. You can see back then, and the place where Zhenghe has arrived in, we have discovered a lot of relics from China. And you can see here, we have a larger bowl, and then we have 2 cups. So all these were discovered at the spot where Zhenghe has arrived in. All those chinaware from Ming Dynasty from China. So if we want to emphasize something, we may know that we have discovered these 3 chinawares from Ming Dynasty, and the place is exactly where Zhenghe has arrived at, this specific place where we have discovered these 3 relics. We have also found the coin from China. The coin was used during the Song Dynasty of China. And you can also see this one piece of coin from China since the Song Dynasty. And it is actually a pity because several of the relics, about 15 of them, are being exhibited in China, in Beijing. So it is a pity that we cannot see here in today's live show, but I do welcome you to go to the National Museum of China to see the current exhibition concerning the Silk Road countries. So we will go on and take you around concerning these exhibitions. So we have seen the model boat for Zhenghe's fleet. Although we do not know exactly what Zhenghe has brought about, but we know that Zhenghe's fleet has been a peak and culmination for the exchanges between China and Oman in ancient times. So now we see this one. Can you guess what it is? So we will ask Miss Iman, what is it? It is the oldest man-made object It is about 2 million years ago.
一个呢，当时的手持的古人类手持的手斧。
It is the oldest object here exhibited in
整个阿曼国家博物馆中年代
our
最久远
museum.
的一件文物，
So
可以追溯到呢人猿时代。
this is the oldest exhibits. We can trace back to about 2 million years ago. For this kind of
这个人类制成，就是
equipment
人工制
for cutting something,
这样的一个物品。
and it is the
说这样的
oldest man-made object in the whole Arabic
为数也很少，大概
area.
这个阿曼国家博物馆还有一件呢是在这个非洲。
And for this axe, it has been very rare all across the globe. So
好，那再继续往前，这些呢都是呢一些呢这个史前的，这个在阿曼发现的这个
and if we go on, we can see various kind of prehistory objects discovered in Oman.
看到的这条船呢，
So we can see that the history of Oman has been very long, and we have a very ancient civilization here in Oman. And for this boat, it was named after the previous name of Oman. And this boat, and this boat is very special because you can see various ropes, and the ropes were made from coconut trees, and we can see the boats can be used for several times, for a long time.
这个船呢我们可以看到的，这个呢是一个仿制品。 但是呢，这个船呢，大概呢是这个青铜器时代，也就是距离现在
It is a replicate,
4000多年前的这样
and
也就是说呢，整个阿曼这个
it can be traced back to 4,000 years ago.
呢就已经开始他们的航海历程。
And we can see the whole history for this nation as Oman nation.
探索发现的历史，一部呢航海的历史，一部呢同这个世界
And the history of Oman is history about voyage, about exploration, and it is a history about exchanges with various civilizations in the world. So we will go forward.
现在就是马上去到像我这样的苏哈尔号这个地方，下了之后。 现在呢，我们呢是已经是大致浏览完了这个整个阿曼的历史。
You can see we have visited the
现在已经是浏览了。
exhibition for the history of Oman.
现在呢，我们呢是从这个阿曼和中国交往的这一段历史，
And now
看完了它的这个古代上的这一段历史。现在我们
we will
再重新的回到这个博物馆。
consider the exchange between China and Oman, and we will return to the first floor of this museum to see the modern age exchange between China and Oman.
播的一直的再往前的行进呢。
So if you
我
follow
们直播的
our
行进
report,
呢，我们的现在呢又回到了这阿曼国家博物馆的一层，而随着时间的推移呢，现在我们
we
讲述这个
come back to the first floor of this National Museum.
呢是到了现代，
And now we are going to
这个也
introduce the modern age exchange between China and Oman.
这个国徽的这个船只呢
And you can see the model boats here.
苏哈尔号，而这个船呢，它
The boat with 3 emblems,
是有
and the boat is called Soha.
我们所说的传统
And
的
the
阿曼的木质
actual boat
我们就让
is about 26.5 meters long, and it is a traditional wooden boat. So, would you introduce to us about Soha, this boat? We have mentioned about the good relationship between China and Oman. So we have built this boat to memorize the route between Soha and Guangzhou.
不是但摆了9间，就是每个人就是如果想看一下，就是去那边来看。
This
刚才这个
boat was now in front of a very famous hotel, and if you want to see, everyone can see this boat
苏哈尔呢，
in real.
上
And
直播
this
提到的那个阿曼的
boat's name is Soha
阿曼
because we have mentioned for so many times that we have this route between Soha and Guangzhou. Soha has become a very important port and the previous capital of Oman. And in modern age, in 1980 or 39 years ago,
阿曼制造的这个
on
26.5
23rd of November,
传统的阿拉伯木
Oman has built this boat of 26.5 meters long.
赛文的
This Soha boat
名水手，其中这20多名水手呢，多数是来自阿曼，
has
从阿曼首都马斯喀特
carried 20 sailors
遥远的东方，在经停了印
to
度、斯里兰卡、印尼
leave the Muscat,
呢是在
and
行了6000多英里。
this boat has stopped at India, Sri Lanka, and Indonesia.
20
After
1981年的7月11日，大概呢
11,000
航行了
kilometers of voyage,
在20
this boat has arrived in China.
达了它的目的地中国广州。
The boat has sailed for 8 to 9 months,
再次前往香港，并由香港
and
呢
it has arrived in Guangzhou in China, and then the boat has left Guangzhou and then has gone to Hong Kong. After that, it has returned to Oman, and this boat is now placed at the most famous Biston Palace hotel in Oman, and this boat is now a landmark. And the Chinese government has, in the 1st of October, the National Days Festival, China has held a celebration event for the 21st year anniversary, and China has built a monument, and this monument is now in Guangzhou. So 39 years ago, Oman people has built this boat using traditional technique, and the Oman people has sailed across the sea along the ancient maritime Silk Road. And this route ended in Guangzhou, so the Oman people has traveled again the very earliest route from Oman to China. So this is actually a rehearsal of this maritime Silk Road. So it is very meaningful in history. Nowadays, with the Belt and Road Initiative progressing, Oman has become the earliest member state of this initiative. Oman has attached great importance to this initiative. In 2018, we celebrate the 40th anniversary of diplomatic ties. China and Oman have established a comprehensive strategic partnership. So it was the first time for Oman to establish such a partnership with any other nation. So it is a very important event for Oman. We have even closer human-to-human cultural and political exchange between China and Oman. So I would like to ask you why you want to study in China, and with the even closer relationship and the Belt and Road Initiative? What is your consideration for your future as well as the future of the both countries? So why I went to China? I wanted to know more about the Chinese culture. I wanted to learn Chinese language. Many of my friends and relatives have gone to China, and they have given me the suggestion that in China the education is good. So I will follow my colleagues and friends to go to China. And now we have the Belt and Road Initiative. So we believe that the bilateral relationship will be better. I want to invite the audience, invite you to come to Oman because we have beautiful scenes. We have mountains and seas, deserts. So I want to invite you to go to Oman. You can travel here. You can go to our museum. You can have a beautiful time here. Thank you, welcome. So thank you, Ms. Iman, for her invitation. Oman has a long history and has also the modern element. And we can also have Arabic flavor here. And the natural scene is also very beautiful with mountains, seas, greenlands, and deserts. So here, maybe we want to thank Ms. Iman for this explanation and introduction, and thank you for her invitation. So if you have time, do come to Oman. And this is also the end of today's live broadcast.